pressure can start building up where it can sort of create dynamics where the person goes between more extreme poles, but like in a constructive way. So like if like the system's like trying to do something or trying to cause like some kind of behavior, but there's not enough slack in the system, or there's like some kind of block, usually that block will be kind of a part of the state space that the system is avoiding. So it could be, and it usually won't be something like mere demotivation or like mere unpleasantness, but it'll be a part of the state space that the system is like actually afraid of or something like that, because that part of the space like might feel like a taste of hopelessness or like something like that. So like the system's going to avoid it unless the system kind of gets cornered and it sort of has to go there. So then the person's going to sometimes, like if there's not tons of equanimity, the person like will feel demotivated, or afraid or hopeless or something. But if all is kind of going correctly, like while the person is in that state, even though they're not necessarily aware of it from the inside, something about that state is like burning off or integrating or metabolizing. So then that frees up slack in the system, uh, and then suddenly like the person has like sort of a burst of like energy or motivation or concentration or ability, that they didn't have before, because that was like what the system was trying to get in the first place. So then like they become more motivated, uh, and they get a bunch of stuff done, and or they kind of hit a wall again. But then the system will kind of go looking for a way to unblock again. So then they might go back into like a hopeless or something state. Um, and so like there can be this kind of oscillation, um, and that can become like more directed and like sort of more extreme, because of meditation, because the system starts to like learn how it can like work for it. It can like actually try to get these things to happen. Um, and so like the sort of blocking and unblocking and like the up and down can become like a little bit more pronounced. Whereas if a person wasn't meditating, like the system kind of like might not learn how to sort of corner itself and to produce these things. Um, and so like this can be sort of a mixture of like good and bad, um, because the system learns it can kind of go in kind of a straight line, and then there will be ways in which that straight line is good and ways in which that straight line has errors. So it's like, it doesn't mean it's like all rosy, but like this is one way that the system is kind of like untangling itself and like causing itself to do things. Um, and it's usually like at some point the system kind of meta understands like this dynamic and kind of like backs off, and then comes to learn to have like better ways of like getting things with less of like the ups and downs, or uh, kind of more and more like equanimity, almost like an equanimity framework gets built like more and more, so that uh, the downs are kind of happening, but they're happening in kind of like spaciousness. And that's like another thing that happens over time as well. So that's kind of one dynamic that can go on like for a while. Yeah, sort of two things can kind of happen over time. Is the system is avoiding those states because like from the inside it feels like they sort of might last forever, and that's scary if it's like a bad thing. It's like that's just kind of from the inside, like that's like the immersive experience of it, even though like they do dissolve, but from the inside it feels that way. So like one of two things happen. Like one, um, the system learns more and more how to create like blended states where it's like, oh yeah, okay, that feels like it's going to last forever, but like you sort of meta know that there's like a safer thing happening. So you kind of feel it and also like feel spaciousness around it at the same time. Then the other thing that can happen is, sometimes like for like deep childhood stuff or like really intense like bad experiences, there almost like isn't enough room to kind of have like the blended spaciousness around it. So like in those cases, the system kind of, just like prepares itself, like learns how to prepare itself and just kind of go for it. So like, you know, it's like, you know, run some checks, like, yes, like this is safe, like in this state, like I'm not going to do anything terrible. It's like going to suck, like from the inside it's going to feel like it's going to last forever, but it's going to be temporary. um and then it's like, okay, are we ready, and then like go. And so like the system like sort of prepares itself to have like, you know, almost like a dream event or something where, you know, from the inside, like there's sort of no control and it lasts forever and whatever. It could be brief, it could be, you know, just a couple of seconds or something, but the system is really afraid of doing it. Or it could, you know, last for like minutes or something, or longer. um, but it's like, you know, the system will set itself up to like go on a roller coaster, and then like you come out on the other side, and then the system is like better and has more slack and like whatever. So that's kind of another thing that starts to happen more and more. And again, like the system, you know, the system makes mistakes, but like for the most part, you know, it's correct enough, and it only does stuff if it is ready to. So it's like very conservative. But so that's another thing that meditation starts like setting up.